Okay, so here we go. We're going to go into the Perek Alef. So, as an introduction to introduction, the first three prakim of the Sefer are really a background to what he's going to speak about going forward, and they're all important building blocks that you need in order to understand the tshuva that he wants to speak about in the rest of the Sefer.
It's like mapping it out.
He's mapping out the tshuva that we know and the different ways it could come about, and the different parts of it, and what tshuva actually is. He'll get into chapter 4, but he's building up towards it. So we're going to get into the first 3 chapters, or the building blocks you need to understand it. Okay. So we'll start with Perek Alef, which is the different types of tshuva there are, which is tshuva tivit, emunit, and sichlit. Natural, emunit, which we'll say is more, I would say, regesh and having to do with your neshama, your nefesh, and sichlit, which we'll call it your seichel, your understanding it in a more with your neshama on the highest level. So he says, we're going to go right in, yeah? At the tshuva anu motzim b'shlosh marachot. There's 3 systems to tshuva tivit, emunit, and tshuva sichlit. We just said they're natural, emunit, which
is belief.
Belief, but I think we're going to interpret more as something to do with your nefesh. Oh, the truth is, you're right. It is. Emunit is belief.
Right.
It's dat, it's religion. And sichlit is your seichel.
Right.
So in tshuva tivit...
Which I think sichlit is like intellect, but it's almost like mindset. I think like the way somebody, it's like thinking, it's like logic models. It's the way somebody thinks, interacts with the world.
Your seichel is your neshama. It's your mazel. It's your neshama. It's what's pushing you forward. The truth is, the whole book is about tshuva sichlit. The first 2, which is going to be mostly tiva and emunah, are the build-up to tshuva sichlit, which is, your thought process for everything that you do.
I heard in Rav Tamir Granot, I listened to, he said that the tshuva sichlit, Rav Kook associates with the Zohar's term of tshuva ila'ah, rather than tshuva tata'ah. And that's where most of Rav Kook's chidush lies, in the tshuva sichlit.
Okay. Tata and yila'ah, just if we're doing it for English, is the lower versus the upper form.
Right.
So he says here, but tshuva tivit, when we speak about the natural type of tshuva, there's 2 chalakim. Tshuva tivit gufanit, natural physical tshuva, u'tshuva tivit nafshit. And also another type of natural, but not physical, but more inside of your nefesh. So a gufanit, physical tshuva, sovavet kol ha'aveirot neged chukei teva. It's anything you do that's against nature. Musar va'Torah, both musar and Torah are mekushrim im chukei teva. Both, midot and musar are tied into naturally how we're going to feel.
Right.
And the Torah also has mitzvot, which are tied into naturally how we feel. Like, for example, different things that we eat, or, washing our hands, the things that are tied into our natural state of being healthy. Hamukusharim, which are tied into chukei teva.
Right, meaning it's not that all of the Torah is manifested in the chukei teva, but there's overlap, and that in that overlap, there is an element of tshuva that can even be done within the mitzvot of the Torah.
That's correct, right? There's physical things involved with teva. Shesof, kol haga, every action, ra'ah, negative action, lavi machalot machavim. If somebody is doing something that's against nature, let's call it smoking as an example, or eating unhealthy, eventually it'll bring you sickness and pain. And many people suffer from this, adam prati v'kali, both individuals and kali, like you said, you build a culture of eating, like non-healthy food, or not good hygiene, or whatever it may be. So if it's against the teva of a person, that is called an aveira against the teva. And I think we should put in here and just explain that, tshuva, we know, means to return, and the emphasis over here is returning to someone's natural state. In order to be a healthy person, right, spiritually person, you need to, in order to become somebody that could do tshuva properly, you have to be healthy. You got to be physically healthy. If you don't sleep at nighttime, you can't make proper decisions with your mind. If you're unhealthy and you're smoking too much at all, or eating healthy, So a person can't be naturally eating, doesn't feel good, it's going to cause him a lot of pain, right? And therefore, tshuva is not just returning to one where a person was supposed to be spiritually, but also physically. You need, as Rav Kook speaks throughout also, I mean, a sound mind and body, right? Someone has to be in a naturally healthy state in order to be in the proper, return to your proper healthy state is what is referring to over here. So it's not something that's outside of Torah. As we know, there are many mitzvahs. Vishmartem od lenafshotechem. You have to be careful for your health and your security. And there's mitzvahs having to do with it. And there's musar, someone gets angry, all the time. That would be, I'd say, musar. He's not a healthy person. He can't function healthily. That's just the way the world works. That's the way God made it. And therefore, someone has to do tshuva, tiv'it, to be returned to who he really is meant to be.
Okay.
V'acharei habeirur. I want to add one more thing in here as well. That, people think tshuva, just a little more introduction to tshuva, is like when we spoke about it a little bit, that when you do something bad, you do tshuva, right? And this is something that could be negative, but it's not necessary that way. Like getting in shape, for example, would be like, I don't smoke, right? But I need to be in shape, right? So like, if you want to, there are negative things that we have to clear out of the way. Like if you want to build an apartment building or a house or a pool, of course you have to get the garbage out of the way before you start to build. You have to get rid of, the garbage that's over there on the floor. But that's one part of tshuva. That's just something that inspires you to do tshuva. It's the starting point, but tshuva is much bigger than that. It's turning into a healthy person. It's you want to build a whole building. Getting rid of the negative things is just a small stage before you can start to build a building. Yeah, you got to get rid of the veras. If you're smoking and drinking or eating unhealthy, you got to get rid of it. But that's just the basic stage. You want to be a very healthy person so you can think properly. You want to build an entire building. That's what tshuva he's talking about in the Sefer. Much bigger than just getting rid of negative things. So even though we're speaking here about getting rid of unhealthy manners, he means to be extremely healthy. To the Kook, we're talking about, he speaks about in the Sefer Milchama, joining the army, that we need to be, warriors and strong in body and mind, and much stronger than just not smoking, but being in a state of perfect health.
Right, 100%. Even when it comes to your capability to learn or do good things in the world and be efficient with your time, right? People like to be efficient. So there's a very strong correlation between your physical habits and efficiency. So that's like a base. If you want to be successful in life in general, you need to be healthy. You need to sleep well. You need to eat well, right? There are crazy situations where somebody has very unhealthy habits, but after a certain amount of time, those unhealthy habits come back and they backfire.
That's right. Later on in life.
So overall, we want longevity and we want to be healthy in every given moment, and that's a base of something that we can step on and then build on top of.
These are the building blocks of tshuva. You need a healthy body. We don't say there's Olam Hazeh is also called the world. We have physical bodies that's partners with our neshamas, and it needs to be healthy. It's the first stage of returning.
Okay.
V'acharei habeirur shemitbarer etzlo davar. Once it's clear to you, shehu batzmo banhagato, through your actions, hara ashamhu b'chol oto dildul ha'chaim shabalo, like, my actions, what's causing me not to be functioning properly, not to be, haru sam leiv, then you pay attention to taken the matzav. Like, it happens naturally to us. Like, tshuva is not something even physical tshuva you have to work on. Like, it bothers you. You can't breathe when you're walking if you're not healthy. It comes, it's whether, you can do it the easy way or the hard way, tshuva. But it's going to happen.
Yeah.
One way or another. So God has it that if you're not physically healthy, you don't stay in shape, you're gonna want to fix the situation. Aru sam lev, you can start pay attention to fix the situation. Lashuv l'chukei ha'chaim. We want to return to the rules that God built here for life. Lishmor chukei teva, to keep properly the laws of nature, hamusar, v'hatorah, and the Torah instructions for how to keep these laws of nature. Leman yashuv, in order that you can return, v'yichya, and live. You could get back to life in all its freshness and excitement, right?
Yeah.
We all know when you're feeling healthy, that's when you feel excited about life, you get a good night's sleep, you feel great. That's the way we want to feel.
Right. And that's tshuva. I mean, being a healthy individual who wants to create, wants to do good, is excited about life.
It's the first stage
right?
of tshuva.
That's what it means to be a good person in its most simple
Right.
form.
One time I heard someone say that, God took Adam and Mesilas Yesharim around the Garden of Eden and said, don't mess up the garden. Like even just to litter on the floor, right? So like maybe it's not a mitzvah in the Torah, but it's a pre-Torah mitzvah. It's a mankind mitzvah to take care of the world and take care of one's body. It's an obvious thing, and I think we all know that inside, that we should be healthy and the world should be a healthy place as much as we could, and keep developing it, all the time. The world's developing. We have, running water from toilets, and of course sanitation, everything's always developing as well.
Mm-hmm. There's an interesting study that I heard about, which talks about cities, neighborhoods with crime, and something that makes the crime rates go down is planting different like parks with gardens in the city. Like there's a correlation between the greenery in a city and crime, and to try to fight the crime, they try to, and there's some like abstract, like almost mystical element of life at its like flourishing life is something that's contagious, and it's a natural way of life. So when you're surrounded by that and you live by that, so then there's a correlation between that and doing good or doing bad.
Right. And he says over here, it's musar and Torah, like being angry, of course, makes a person unhealthy. We need the Torah to teach us how to do this. It's not all natural. In the Torah, Jews washed their hands before, that saved them from any plagues. In Europe, the Torah's mitzvahs are there to help us as well. A medicine, osek b'zem na'amabeh. There's a lot of medicine out there, all types of medicine, Chinese medicine, modern medicine. It's not so developed enough, kafi anira adayin, as it appears, legamre avodah dozu, this completely, this great work of returning our bodies, to its natural state. We haven't found the complete answer for all types of, physical illnesses, although we're always getting more developed with time, with science, of course. I actually had an operation not so long ago, and I was left with some side effects. And I went back to the doctor and I said, what should I do for this? She says, nothing you could do about it. Come back to me in 3 months. I said, why should I come back to you in 3 months if there's nothing we could do for it? She said, the stent that saved your life was only created this year. Hopefully in 3 months, we'll have something for that as well. It's constantly developing. Also, different mindfulnesses that affect physical health, and also modern medicine. But of course, the Torah,
Right.
It's all inside it, the different mitzvahs that we keep. There's different limitations in life that we have nowadays. Everything that got lost in your physical state, due through sins, which destroy your physical goof, your strength. Even how physically to be in different areas, the Torah instructs us. And according to the way I see it, this type of tshuva is very tied in with the other parts of tshuva, ruchani, tiv'it, as we can explain, working on different midot, right? We all know that, if you're physically unhealthy, obviously you can't get spiritually healthy, but the same thing, if someone's spiritually unhealthy, it affects their physical. Sometimes people have to work from the inside out, they start working on their midot to affect their physical, right? Someone's sicknesses come from people having bad midot, and vice versa as well. Hamunit, and also the religious part, the religion, vasichlit. They're all tied in one with the other. So that was the first type of tshuva.